Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, the long-awaited electricity from the apocalypse. All right, what I'm talking about is the lights go out. Maybe, I don't know what happens. EMP, we're going to talk about some scenarios to get through that. But we're also going to talk about, just supplies kind of dry up. Say, whatever infrastructure, we have a major gas shortage and all of a sudden the supplies, dry out where trucks aren't running, supplying your local grocery store. Things eventually shut down. Society kind of breaks down. People start, getting rowdy, and eventually the power goes out. Maybe the guys who work at the power company are like, fuck it, I'm not going to work.
Yeah, I do that on just regular days when nothing's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and you're a municipality worker. Yeah. Come on. So, that's the thing is, you're just like, well, if I have to be at home taking care of my family with a shotgun, maybe I don't want to leave my family to make sure everybody else gets electricity. I don't know. I don't know what the scenario is, but basically you end up where there's no power. And, oh crap, what do I do? Now, obviously, your options with solar and different things, if it was an EMP, certain things are going to be damaged if you didn't prepare beforehand. And then certain things are going to be available to you if it was just a societal collapse. So we're going to kind of hit both of those areas, I hope. I don't know, sometimes I get off task and we, who knows where we'll end up. But I think it was Randy sent us an email, requested we dig deep into this one. Hopefully he's been patient. I know it's been a month or so since this finally will air and you guys will get to hear it. But here we are. We're ready to dig deep and talk about off-grid generating electricity. Yeah. So, and this is kind of without planning and maybe without the hardware store and YouTube available to you.
Right.
But if you do your YouTube planning now, we might be able to make it so you can survive in the end.
Get ready.
So, Kevin, you had some thoughts on maybe hijacking some electricity, maybe you said?
Yeah, what did I get in? I mean, in certain scenarios, obviously, stealing electricity is, it's not a good idea.
It's not safe?
Yeah, it's not safe, but
it's against the law.
It's not a good idea because it's very
high crimes.
So what I would say is, that the golden rule is the people with the gold make the rules. The power companies have the gold.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of screwed.
Those aren't people you want to screw. It's like a 5 years in prison, $20,000 fine type crime.
And there's a good chance you're going to end up dead.
A felony. Yeah, and
there's that.
Tapping directly into the power lines is bad idea.
Bad idea. So, all we're saying is absolutely never do this. the Prepping Badass podcast recommends against this. Mm-hmm. But let's get into it. Kevin, how would I go about doing that?
Well, I'd like to call this segment Stealing Electricity for Fun and Profit.
All right. Let's hear about it.
So 80% of power theft comes from what they call line hooking or line tapping.
Okay.
That's where you tap directly into the power line.
All right. Now, we do that when the power goes out and we run out there like a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, run out and get
hook
it done,
that shit up and
then
pray.
Get away from it. Obviously, if there's no power, this isn't good.
The hook and buck.
This isn't your
right.
Your idea.
So
if
EMP and everything's down.
You're out of luck with this project.
Unless FEMA set up a camp next to you and they got a big generation station.
And you can run into that.
Or possibly a big solar panel setup. Mm-hmm. And you can get into the power lines after that, possibly.
Now the trick...
Wait. North Korea, they shut the power off at night. Mm-hmm. You hook it up.
Yep.
Come morning time. Oh, yeah.
That's right. Now, you're not going to want to do this live. All right, but you're going to want to basically tap directly into the power line.
Okay.
You're going to want to do it after the transformer because you want it coming in at 120 volts.
Okay. So like those big high lines...
Right.
Where they're spread out and whatever.
And you have to be careful about arcing. I read stories about those power lines, those high power lines. Somebody climbing up one, and they got about 10 feet away from the power line and got zapped.
Yeah.
So you can arc yourself and kill yourself on 120 volts. With that. So you're going to want the power to be out. You don't want to be doing that, with power running through these lines.
I have a little experience with that firsthand.
Yeah, you've been shocked a couple times.
I've been shocked a few times. Yeah, I like the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So, back in the day, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story, but so on my ship, the one thing they teach you in electronics school is you don't mess with microwaves and you don't mess with TVs unless you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Well, I fix microwaves now, so we've gotten past that.
All right.
But microwaves have a capacitor that's maybe as big as your fist. Mm-hmm. And that can kill you. So that's not good. But TVs, the old school ones, with that big tube, that whole tube is a capacitor. So that holds a lot of electricity, right? Mm-hmm. A big charge, which is what you're getting off those high lines that's just looking for somewhere to go. So... that was my rule. Don't mess with TVs. Don't care. Not going to do it. The XO on the ship had different plans. He's like, you know what? I pay you guys. You know about electricity. You're going to fix my TVs. I'll be damned if we're buying new ones or sending them away. And I'm like, well, luckily for me, we don't have manuals for that. So I don't even know how they work. So, of course, he spends $150 and orders manuals for the freaking TV. So that's all we need, right? So then the manuals finally show up, and he's like, all right, you got to figure it out. I'm like, well, all I know is that you're going to get shocked with a capacitor. So we leave these things unplugged for 2 days. My experience says capacitors discharge slowly over time. We wait 2 days, we should be good. But I'm not stupid. So they call it a shorting probe. And what it is a big glass tube with a metal bar through the middle of it. Mm-hmm. The end of the metal bar, it connects to a cable. And then it has a clamp, and you wear a glove, and you clamp that on the electric connections on the big TV tube. Mm-hmm. And then you touch it to the ship's ground. That's going to let any electricity go through it while you hold the glass, and then you don't get shocked and everything's good. Mm-hmm. So, and again, it discharges kind of slowly through it. I put it on the ground. I let it discharge for 2 minutes, which is way more than most things you'd ever want to do. Mm-hmm. All right, no problem. I'd say we're good. I'm still not dumb enough to touch this thing, right? So I grab the clamp for the shorting probe, and I disconnect it, and damn, my elbow comes within 6 inches of the terminals on the back, it arcs through my elbow, down through my arm, out my fingertip, and into the deck of the ship, and burns. So I have a burn mark on my elbow, and of course, throws me across the room. There's that.
Right, yeah.
Burn mark on my elbow, burn mark on my fingertip, and freaking right through me. And when I talk to the medical people there, they're like, oh yeah, there's permanently going to be a burn mark through your bone all the way through your arm. And they're like, yeah, you'll feel that for the rest of your life. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Thanks.
Fantastic.
So the point is, if there's a big enough charge, even if you
do everything you're supposed to do.
Even if you do everything, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Not everything.
There was something else we were supposed to do. But either way, even if, you're not touching it, is what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. You still run the risk of getting shocked. So you want to be careful with something high power.
Right.
Now, 110, I eat 110 for breakfast. I stick my hand in a socket. I'm like, oh, whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it's there. I've had enough big ones in my day that that's not it. So, anyway, we hook it up after the transformer.
Right.
We got 110.
And you're going to want to just run it straight into your power box, into your breaker.
Okay.
Now, you're going to want to use a heavy gauge.
Okay.
Heavy gauge cord. Anything smaller than...
Insulated
heavy gauge. Right.
Wire.
Right. If you go get the $25, 100-foot extension cord, it's not gonna do much. You're
gonna melt it off.
Yeah, you're gonna lose the power between the line and the house. All right, so that's one way to do it. Other way to do it would be to bypass your meter.
Okay.
So what you're basically doing is,
now they have the little tamper clip.
Right.
On the outside.
You're going before the meter. This is not touching the meter at all. Just circumventing the meter. Now this is they have smart meters now. Oh. They don't necessarily have to come read your meter.
Okay. Depending
on the meter you have. So that hypothetically could be a long-term solution for stealing electricity. Another idea is you can manipulate your meters.
Tell me more.
Now I've read about this.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily understand how it works, but it says meters can be manipulated by a remote control by installing a circuit inside the meter that will slow it down. So you could slow it down remotely. But you're going to have to get into the meter and then close it back up without leaving a trail.
That sounds like high crimes. That sounds like.
Another way that you could do it is magnets. Those meters run off of magnets. And so if you put a magnet in the right spot, it'll slow the
or will it speed it up?
Or speed it up if you put it in the wrong spot. But I don't think that works on modern meters. That's not something that you can necessarily do anymore.
No.
Now I
did learn a lot of things from the Anarchist Cookbook. Now some of this is.
Now I had a friend of mine. It was actually my pastor was telling me about
the Captain Crunch whistle.
His dad. No. His dad had would open up the meter, and with a tiny screwdriver would turn back the numbers, like turning back the dial on an odometer on a car.
Right.
But the problem was that he had done it a few times and probably saved $20 or $30. But he short-circuited that meter, and it fused the screwdriver to the meter. So he couldn't just leave it there, because then they'd see what he was doing. So he took a baseball bat and smashed the meter off the side of the house. And then he called the electric company and told them some kids had smashed up his meter. And they said, well, the meter's on your property, so it's your responsibility. So he ended up having to buy a new meter, and it ended up costing about $300 more than he had saved from turning it back.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about line loss.
All right, tell me about line loss.
Line loss is it's a loss of electricity due to heat and electromagnetic energy. So, have you ever felt an extension cord and it was hot?
I have.
Yeah, that's because the extension cord is too small for the power that you're running.
Sounds right.
So you're losing power by doing that. So if you're, say, getting an extension cord and plug it into your neighbor's outlets.
Do you ever wonder why some extension cords are $15 and some extension cords are $75?
Right. That's the one
your answer.
Want. Yeah. If you have 25 feet, a 16 gauge cord is okay.
Yes.
If you go up to 100 feet, you're going to want to go down to 14 gauge.
Yes.
And if you go up to 500 feet, you're going to want to be closer to like an 8 gauge extension cord.
And that's like pretty close to the line coming into your house.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the cable, coming in, it's fat.
Right.
They're beefy.
Right. And 500 feet of 8 gauge cable extension cord, not cheap.
No.
That's a lot of money you're spending.
Yes, that's why people steal that crap.
All right, so basically the larger the gauge number, the smaller the wire, right?
Yes.
So the longer the extension cord and the larger the gauge, the more electricity that you're going to lose. Now, it's not necessarily just going to be lost from heat, but the line's going to be so small that the power isn't going to be able to travel through it.
The electrons.
That distance, effectively, efficiently. So if you're running extension cords, wherever you're getting your power, the distance that you run that extension cord makes a big difference.
Right.
So it would be a good idea to get heavy gauge extension cords. I have spent a lot of money on heavy duty, long extension cords.
So you're saying if you were to build a tiny house and put it on your property, and then run an extension cord 300 feet out there,
right?
You're saying there might be some loss.
There's going to be a lot of loss if you've got a.
That was just a hypothetical.
Extension. Yeah, no, I know somebody that's building a tiny house on their property, and somebody is using the electricity from their house to the tiny house.
But if they took it from the pole before it got to the house,
right, that's the way to do it.
This is where all this comes in handy.
So just basically, what you want to do in preparation, in case this ever arises, is get your extension cord situation worked out. Stockpile those. They're made out of copper. They're not cheap.
No.
But spend the money for them and have them on hand. You use extension cords every day of your life. You might as well use a good one. That way you can use that one when it really demands it.
I like it. Planning.
Mm-hmm.
Survival of the fittest.
Prepping
survival.
Extension cords.
Badass.
Sounds
right.
Okay. Now, do you want to get into some of the other ways that we could?
Well, I think that's more what Randy here was looking for is more. How am I going to rig something up? What am I going to do? So, well, a lot of the ideas that I have come from car alternators and car batteries.
Right.
The idea is, after an EMP, there's going to be a lot of cars that aren't driving. Now, maybe, as we talked about, people are very mixed views on whether cars will or will not work after an EMP, but they will run out of gas. And refineries will stop working, and gas will come to an end. So when that day comes, that cars are readily available on every corner because nobody has gas to drive them, then alternators are going to be readily available on every corner. Okay. And so what that means is car batteries, alternators readily available for you. So you're going to want to build up a battery bank. Now, we talked about batteries are heavy. We didn't talk about it, but me and Kevin talked about it. You guys weren't here, but you're here now.
Right.
So I'm telling you, we already talked about it. All right, we're all clear? Good. All right. So anyway, the car batteries, they're heavy. So you're going to need to get a bunch, at least 6. Depends how much work you're willing to put into this project. A great place to find car alternators, car batteries, if not your driveway. I know my driveway has 5 cars maybe in it at any given time. Your driveway seems to have 3 or 4 cars in it at any given time. Your neighbors may be like that. Car garages, like repair shops, tend to have 15 or 20 cars right there. Most people usually have something nearby. Used car dealerships, new car dealerships, alternators, batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, I remember once I had a car that broke down. I was at a hotel, and it was a power issue. I couldn't tell if it was the alternator or the battery.
Right.
But there was an AutoZone right up the street. So I just yanked that battery out to go have it checked.
Yes.
I tell you, by the time I got there, my arm was about to fall off.
You wish you had a skateboard to kick it along?
And then, of course, the battery was fine. So I had to carry it all the way back to the thing.
And the alternator's not light either.
No. None of it was easy. And it was back and forth. And it was only a block, but man, it was
Can I recommend maybe a wagon?
Yeah. A radio flyer?
A radio flyer, maybe a horse, maybe your dog with a strap on the back.
I should have knocked down that homeless person and stolen their shopping cart, but...
All right, lesson learned.
Hindsight's 2020.
Lesson learned. All right, so now that we've secured these batteries, we're going to want to wire them together. Remember we talked about in the solar power episode?
You're talking about running them in series?
In series, or in parallel. Let me pull that up. So if you run the batteries, wire them up from negative to positive, that's going to end up like adding the voltage. So two 12-volt batteries, negative to positive, and then a wire off, the negative and the positive. Mm-hmm. Then between those two, you're going to have 24 volts. So you're going to want to run the other way. So negative to negative to negative to negative, and positive to positive to positive, and set that up for a 12-volt system. Mm-hmm. Again, if you want to refresh, we go a lot deeper in our solar episode. You guys can kind of catch up on that. But bottom line, all right, so now you have a battery bank. Now we have to charge it. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? That's where that alternator comes in. So now you have a couple options. You take the alternator, you yank it out of the car. Now, we have a lot of belts available to us from the car. Mm-hmm. A lot of serpentine belts that are going to match right up to that alternator. At this point, you could take the sprocket off your bicycle. Mm-hmm. Maybe keep it with the seat and possibly weld that, or if you have to, drill and bolt. All right, I don't have a drill. Now you're really pushing my buttons here, but all right, maybe
as soon as you get it hooked up, you'll have a drill.
You're gonna work it out so that you can put that sprocket on the end of the where the pulley is for the alternator.
For the alternator,
right? So you have the sprocket on the bicycle. You're gonna sit on the bike. You're gonna pedal it. You're gonna charge up that battery bank. Mm-hmm. It's gonna suck, but that's where child labor comes in. Mm-hmm. Again. How bad do you want that iPod? You want to watch freaking videos on your iPod? Mm-hmm. Then you're going to be hitting the pedal and cranking away. It's going to work. Now you can do a little research on gears and gear ratios. The bigger the wheel you put on there, you'll be able to, work out more, per stroke kind of thing of what you're able to get out of it, how many turns.
Right.
That alternator. Again, that's how big you set it all up. Mm-hmm. But you also want it to be comfortable. You know what it's like when you get on a bike and there's no resistance at all. Right. Or if it's great. Right. Same thing. So a water wheel is going to work the same way. Mm-hmm. So you can rig up a paddle wheel if you have running water and set up this same scenario with an alternator going to your battery bank.
Yeah, I actually had a friend of mine that... went to a barn sale.
Yes.
And found a water wheel, the whole setup, the whole system.
Okay.
And was able to run it, set it up in his stream.
Okay.
And run it directly into his fuse box.
Yeah.
And just that added power directly into his box with an alternator. That he was able to buy the whole system, and it was an old antiquated system.
Now.
And he had to upgrade some of the parts, but.
The one thing that I have to say about this whole system is we're creating a 12-volt system. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So everything we're talking about is going to be 12 volts, which, a lot of things, houses, our stuff set up for 120 volts, 110, whatever. So we need to take that into account. Maybe you want to, look at things that people have and, whatever with the 24-volt systems. A lot of the camper setups, stuff like that are operating that way. Stuff you might have with your boat, things like that. But also, there's a lot of cars with the setup in there for their 12-volt battery. And then they have so you can plug in, they have little power cord jacks now. That didn't used to be the case, but now that's actually pretty common to have a little 110 plug in your car. Guess what? That's a power inverter that takes your 12 volts to 110. Now you can charge your drill batteries, set up the charger in the car based on you pedaling your bike, and at least you're ahead of the game. Right. To look for the heavy gauge wires to prevent the loss like you were talking about. The battery wires that are coming right off your battery in your car, those are the really thick, like 6 gauge or something like that, that are really going to, do a good job with that. That's something you want because, like you said, any kind of distance, you're going to lose efficiency. The shorter you can make it, I mean, believe it or not, just running the wires from the front of your car to the back of your car, it'll make a difference, with loss. So, 10 feet, it's a big deal. So, no big deal. Now, power inverters, they're really fairly inexpensive. They sell little jacks that you can plug into your cigarette lighter thing on your car and have the 110 thing. They're probably like $15, $20. I don't know, I haven't really priced them out. Don't, hate me for quoting the wrong price here. But, I mean, those are really pretty useful. But that might be something that you need to put in foil, set up a little Faraday cage, if this is something you're really concerned about. EMP, they can damage a lot of those. That's where you're going to lose with an EMP. A lot of this falls apart because you lose inverters. The inverters are not going to be hardened against an EMP attack. So that's something you have to plan beforehand to set aside. Otherwise, you're just kind of hoping to get lucky with these others, or you're working off a 12-volt system. And that's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if you wire your batteries correctly, I guess we could rig it up to 110, right? Oh, but it's still DC. So it's not going to help you. It's not going to be AC, and your things need alternating current to work it out. So just, working out your battery bank to AC, that's not going to do it. That's a little deeper than we're going to get into today.
It is possible, though, isn't it?
To convert DC to AC on your own, like without a store-bought inverter, yes. But, yeah, that's deep.
That's a different show.
That's a different show.
All right, so you could hypothetically hook this up to a windmill.
Yes.
Now, it was
so that's the
online.
same as we were saying with the paddle wheel, the alternator, windmill, same thing.
Yeah, I was looking at some of these windmills online, and they've got a lot of interesting systems.
Okay.
Some of them are just run for aeration for ponds.
Okay.
But some of them are designed directly.
I've seen well pumps set off off windmills. Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of them work just through the power of the windmill, not electricity.
Okay.
So
they work like
for the
pistons
pond
up and down.
Right, would be running directly from that, not converting to electricity and then running a pump.
Right.
But there's a lot of them that I've seen for sale, and you're spending a lot of money. You're spending $20,000 to buy the system.
Whoa!
But once you have it, you're basically off the grid as long as that wind's blowing.
Yeah.
And you would have to get a battery system set up for the windmill so that you could run it, on slow days. And it's going to have to, the windmill, if you're going to build it yourself, is going to have to be high enough that it's higher than the trees around you.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, some places have amazing wind, and a windmill is a huge resource.
Right.
There's a lot of places a windmill just isn't going to do it.
Yeah, it's not going to be efficient.
Windmills are really hit or miss. But, who knows? You go up on a mountain, you might be able to set up a little power plant up there. I know we have a lot of mountains around here.
Right.
I know if I go up to, some of our little lookout points that we have locally, you could get a decent wind up there.
Yeah.
And, you could really do something. But, I know locally I set something up in my backyard, even if it's at the highest point, I'm probably not going to get jack, you know?
Mm-hmm. Now, I have a friend that built a house, and he set up a geothermal system.
Geothermal's pretty awesome.
Right. And that's basically what he did. Now, you can drill straight down and pump water down through it and back up. And it's going to cool it to a temperature about 65 degrees, something like that, depending on how deep you go and where you are. Mm-hmm. What he did was he went, I think, 10 feet down a trench,
okay, but
zigzagged it back and forth through his yard. So the water would go in and, you know, through his half acre of property that it was set up on, it would run back and forth, and it was something like 600 or 700 feet. And then that water would come back in at that 65 degree temperature. So you could heat your house basically to 65, and all you're doing is running a water pump.
Right.
So if you can set that up before, you know, the power goes down, you're already ahead of the game there as far as heating your house.
I did look at purchasing a house in Georgia one time
mm-hmm.
that was set up with springs from the ground, and they actually had hot water springs.
Yeah.
And it totally heated the house on its own naturally, and they had set it up in, you know, the 1800s.
Uh-huh.
And it's just awesome, you know, when you can plan and work something out like that. But
yeah.
Not all of us are lucky like that to, you know, fall into something.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we've gotten through most of these. Do you want to talk a little bit about generators?
So, man, it's not much to say. I mean, they turn on, they work. I mean, I know, you know, some of your interest, Randy, was generators, but, I mean, really anything is a generator. You know, when we, like I said, we talked about with the alternator,
mm-hmm.
You know, when you're turning that bike pedal, you're a generator.
Right.
You know, you're creating it for, you know, and any way you want to rig that up to turn that, that's going to generate electricity. Obviously, a gas-powered generator, that's cool, and they work. They're pretty straightforward, you know, but how long do you have gas?
Mm-hmm.
That's really my concern there. But I think, you know, more what he was going for is, you know, in the question is, you know, how do I make it when I don't have gas?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we have gas, I mean, shit, you pour it in, you pull the cord, and
mm-hmm.
and we're all good to go.
There you go.
There are, I mean, you know, there's different qualities of generators. I actually had just mentioned, I don't know if we released it or not yet, the episode with where I had mentioned about the generators, that you want to get something, you know, that's like 8,000 running watts, something like that. But, you know, once you get something quality, you know, you want a decent motor, Troy built, something like that. You know, you get these Harbor Freight cheaper ones. It might work. It might
mm-hmm.
be okay, you know. That's been my experience with all, like, Harbor Freight tools. It might work.
But,
it might be okay.
That's not the situation you want to be in when you have a generator and you have an emergency.
Right.
You know, emergency equipment has to be a little bit higher end because you have to rely on it to work.
And that's
when you need it.
Yeah, you know, you want to be able to survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or survive and thrive. We want to have a little better than, you know, than eating, you know, out of the stream and
mm-hmm.
and eating grasshoppers. You know, that's the whole point.
Right.
You know, I guess anybody can go to the other option, you know, digging up worms and whatever, but I'd rather not be that guy.
Yeah, I'd rather not be eating salamanders if I could help it.
You know, whatever. But that's what I got.
Okay. Do you want to, I wanted to hit on this real quick. I found an interesting story in the New York Times the other day.
All right, tell me.
The ATF
yes.
is getting in trouble. What they were doing was they were buying tobacco, buying cigarettes, and then paying for it and shipping it overseas so there's no tax on the cigarettes.
When they purchased it.
When
correct.
they purchased
okay.
it, right. But what was happening was the cigarettes were not actually ever leaving the warehouse. They were shipping potato chips, believe it or not, for whatever reason, instead of cigarettes.
I like potato chips. So
and
I
then
could
the
understand
ATF was taking the cigarettes and selling them at reduced prices, which is basically the job of the ATF to stop from happening. That's their job, is to keep that from happening, keep people from doing that. selling loosies.
Tobacco, that's one of the...
Yeah, that's one of the letters in there.
All right.
And so what they were doing was they were selling these cigarettes at a lower price, and then funneling that money into a bank account for a corporation called, I think it was called American Tobacco. So this corporation was buying all sorts of thousands and thousands of dollar shopping sprees at Best Buy and things like that. But they were taking them on the things they bought at Best Buy, and they were giving to informants. Now, this is all very illegal, but not so illegal that people actually go to prison.
Well,
it's like one of those, they are the ATF.
You know, if you work for the government.
But then there are also the issue of a few Suburbans and a couple $1 million in bank accounts that belong to specific individuals.
They could have got that money anywhere.
Right. I'm sure working for the
rich
ATF
uncle,
pays you
rich
enough money
uncle, wink, wink, Uncle Sam.
Yep. But so there's a that's going on right now. Nobody's gotten in trouble yet, but keep your eyes open for this one. It's going to be interesting.
All right, something to keep an eye out for. Let me think. There are some other things you guys might want to look into, but they have these wood-fired pickup trucks. Have you seen this on YouTube? People setting this up. Mm-hmm. Kind of weird. Somehow I don't even understand.
Like a steam engine?
I watched an hour. No, it's your gas motor. Somehow works off the heat from the smoke.
Filling the tank. Right, with some sort of, they're condensing fumes of some sort.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I've heard about it.
Injecting the fumes into the injectors or the carburetor, kind of, and burning it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So this is something you might want to look at.
How you build a bomb, though. When I was reading,
is this one of these magical Tesla things, or we had the big spark thing in the backyard? I don't know, the magic Tesla coil. Who knows? I seem to remember a movie, and the Tesla guy had all the light bulbs set in the snow, and they all lit up. Mm-hmm. It was not The Illusionist. What was the one with Tesla? Maybe it was. It was either The Illusionist or that other one that came out at the same time.
It was the
Prestige.
Yeah. With Wolverine in it.
Yeah, Wolverine. That guy's awesome. Yeah. And so anyway, there's options.
He just gets younger and younger. I don't know what's going on, man.
Badass. Then, what else? So wood-fired, also steam engines. You guys may want to look into that, but that's not something you're going to really put together, the steam engine, at the end of the world. Yeah. That's something you got to plan. You got to get some parts. Mm-hmm. You're going to be eBaying it. You're going to be looking up things. That's not something you just whip together. But maybe it is. Maybe you guys prove me wrong. Send me some plans.
Maybe there's some engineers out there that can build it out of used car parts.
All right. So, with that, preppingbadass@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. Like us on Facebook. We'll keep you up to date with all the local nonsense.
Yep. Give us a call. Give us an email if you got any suggestions about shows you want to hear about. If you're too lazy to research something, just let us know. We'll do it for you.
Mike and the rest of you guys supporting us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. You guys kick ass. What else? Mike, we sent you a thank you email, little video. Maybe you should check your email. I don't know. If you didn't get it, send Kevin some hate mail. He'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.